And welcome back to the hottest marriage show in town, Doing Too Much. I am John D.A.K. Too Much, and this is my better half, Do. How are you doing?
The do is, I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
It's awesome. So how have you been lately? We haven't talked in a minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I think it's been all right. I'm hopeful. We're coming to the end of closing on this house. The weather is starting to pick up. Everything is saying everything is looking good for Kanika right now. What about you?
Life is going well, about as well as it can be. I have a wonderful wife and beautiful kids and two good-looking dogs.
Wait, have we talked about our second dog?
I don't know, but we can, just in case the world doesn't know that we decided to make life a little more difficult.
So, yeah, he always swear that 2 is his number, but for some reason he was really fighting me about this second dog. I mean, we got 2 kids, 2 dogs. Why not? So I, our first dog, Kingston, he's a Springer-Doodle. So I was looking for another Springer-Doodle, and we found this handsome young chap named Bruno. We might have talked about Bruno.
We did now, because I remember because he was making noise.
Oh, yeah, he was.
Yeah, but Bruno's bigger now, because when I grabbed him today, he's definitely heavier than he was.
Well, he's definitely also more aggressive.
For sure. It's a good aggressive, though. He's not making anybody uncomfortable.
No, but so that's another thing that I'm enjoying. I'm enjoying that part, too.
For sure. I got a question from, just to let you guys know, we are almost, I think 40, I think this might be 42nd or 43rd that'll be documented. But what have you learned through this process of podcasting? That's what I wanted to know. Like, I have a lot of reflection and just wondered what you thought about it, because I haven't asked you that question off air either.
What have I learned? I guess I've learned more about you. I don't know if I've learned much about podcasting.
What I'm saying, not necessarily that was, I guess, see,
okay.
That's miscommunication. I just between you and I, because originally we started this to, I guess, talk about our journey.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to know, like through this past year and communicating the way that we have, what have you learned?
I've definitely learned about going into a conversation assuming. I feel like in the beginning, it's funny because when you asked me about that, the first thing I thought about was there was a conversation we had on one of these, and like it broke out into a for real argument where we just stopped recording. I deleted that mug, y'all. It was just outlandish, and we don't have those. And anytime we argue, we don't have a lot of blow ups, but when we have, we have to break and go somewhere else and come back. And I've noticed that since we've started, we're so much quicker to come back, and we really start to dissect. Like recently we had an argument about finances. Not that we're having trouble with finances, but future planning of finances. And so the way he approached me about it, I did not like it. And it immediately put me on a defense, and we definitely stopped the conversation before it got out of hand. And immediately I began to write out to him, and I said, I understand what you're saying. Like, I wanted to validate what he was saying. It wasn't that I didn't think that what he was talking about was important or it wasn't true. But then I started to write out number 1, number 2, number 3. Like, when you said this is what I thought about. I need you to see the chain of thoughts and defenses that came up because of what you said. And, it bothered me. It hurt me. But I definitely understand what you're saying. And when he and I sat down to talk again, he was able to say, I get it, but I feel like X, Y, and Z. And the thing in the end was when I said, the next time you want to have a conversation with me about it, I'd like for you to come and ask me about it, not come and tell me what, he came in and he was like, this is what we need to do. And I said, I would like for you to come to me and say, I've been thinking about this. So let's talk about what we're going to do. Like, do you have any ideas? Because I have ideas. That would make me feel more like you were partnering with me to do something and not that you were coming to order me around or take control of everything. And I just feel like going through this, I know you guys have heard John say a million times that was miscommunication or, that was miscommunication. And I think that that's ingrained in me now that, okay, there's a barrier. So let me break down where he may have misread what I was saying. Let me acknowledge that I feel that I had to have misread what he was saying, because I know your intentions are never to come in and fight, and I think that was another thing, because we've talked about this before. We were separated for 18 months, with you being at work. And so that day-to-day interaction, it was really, really difficult to get back into the run of having to consult someone else when I'm doing things and stuff like that. And so at the start of this podcast, to me, it wasn't like at the beginning of a marriage when you're trying to figure each other out, but it was kind of like that. It was like, we had to jumpstart ourselves again. But this time it's like better than ever, because I think the podcast was making us talk through things more and be more aware. Like, okay, I have to say this in a way where I'm clear and you're clear so that we're clear to everyone else. And it really helped up to this point. So that was my long way of saying it really helped with communicating with you and acknowledging that you're not coming to fight me.
And while you were doing that, I was trying to think, what could I say for her to understand? Like, yeah, you're right. Absolutely. I want you to know that we're on the same team. And when I say something, it doesn't have to be my way. I just want it to be done the best way and it be executed. And when I did talk to you about that, and I look back, I'm like, that was the only way I could say it at that time. Like, I didn't know to break that down so it didn't sound like it was a command and this is the way we're going to do it. And I realized I'm trying to remove the tyrant type of delivery.
Okay.
And I definitely understand now.
What have you learned?
The more conversations you have, the better you get. And I think that the podcast helped us increase the number of conversations purposefully to get the kinks out, so we could learn each other on, okay, I know she doesn't want to do it that way, but she's not going to respond if I say it this way. So even up until this point, I'm just thinking, like, what can I do to ensure that you don't misinterpret what I'm saying or what I'm trying to do, because I only want us to win.
Right.
And I know you know that, but the way that somebody talks and the expectations from the other person of how you talk to them could mess up the whole message.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the podcast because those were intentional conversations. And it's just like playing basketball. You put those hours in, you're going to get better. And I feel like the hours that we've put in conversing has allowed this relationship to look more polished.
Yeah.
Our conversation.
And it doesn't mean that you need to pick up mics and headphones and get a podcast to do it. Y'all could, have a purposeful conversation. Because I remember when you and I barely saw each other because we were like two ships passing in the night, grabbing kids, going to work and stuff. And we never really had the opportunity to sit down and have a conversation just because we wanted to talk to each other.
Correct. And, I was just thinking also, there were times where you didn't want to talk to me because, like during this last year, like because it was so heavy.
Yeah.
And it was like, I don't feel like doing all that thinking. Now, to me, I feel like our conversations, you don't make me feel like I don't have to bring anything up.
Yeah. Well, it's like, and like I said, when we were apart, I was running this household, you were running that household. And so there were a lot of things I didn't have to discuss. So getting back into the groove of discussing things and like having to consult with another person to make sure that we could do this and do that, it just felt like there were so many people in the house and there were so many moving parts. And now I got to talk to somebody about this or about that. And I didn't want to talk. I had to get used to again. And it reminds me of, we used to talk about single women and them being used to doing things the way they do it and then having a hard time giving up that control to a partner when a partner comes. And now I have a better understanding of how disorienting that can be. When when we started out in Atlanta, we did everything as partners. Then, okay, so we're going to do this half and half. We're going to look at this. And there were a lot of dictatorships going on at the time. But the point is that I grew up knowing that that's how I learned how to have a family household. And then while we were apart, I had to learn how to run a household where it was just me making all the decisions. The transition was so hard for me because it was just hard, and I didn't think it was going to be that hard. I remember I used to say, women don't want to do it all. They don't. So they want a partner that can come in and is competent and able to help them run a household together because it takes the stress off of them. But when you came back and you're like, yeah, I can take this, I could take that, or I can, I'll take this responsibility. It was like, I was like, thank you. But I was holding on tight and you were like pulling it to get it. And I was like, I'm so happy that you're going to take this responsibility, but I still got the tight grip on it. I just didn't want to let it go because then it's like, and I know who you are, but I still was like, I feel more secure in knowing how all the parts are moving
when you're
because
doing it.
I got it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so it's funny because now I have a different thought in my head of when I say, when a single woman and especially a single parent, because then you got other moving parts. So when they have someone in their life or even a father, I don't know how the man would look at it, but when you finally have that partner, how hard is it to let go of those responsibilities? Because it was a struggle for me.
Well, I'll tell you this. Just thinking about when I was like reflecting, like I didn't think it was difficult. I thought it was necessary. Like in my head, I thought it was going to look like that. Mm-hmm. Like I knew that when I was coming back and I was like, if you and I are going to become effective communicators to just each other, that we're going to have to figure out what we didn't like and address that. Like, why didn't you like it, so that I can make sure and I won't do it again? Because I know that our conversations were limited because of the way that I was delivering my information, and I felt like it was important. But if I delivered in a way where you don't want to receive it, it's not that important. It's only important to me. So it made me kind of like be more thoughtful of how I wanted to give information outside of the last time. With the finance aspect, I didn't think about it like that. To me, I thought you were going to be like, yeah, that's a great idea. I thought about it, but I didn't follow through. But it was nothing like that.
No, I was like, what?
Yeah. So going forward, even just today, like, whatever that I want done, I think it's in the best interest of the family. And the way that it comes out, I'm definitely working on that part. if that makes sense.
It does. But this is making me think. I was saying from my perspective, but I am wondering about yours. Because this might reflect on people who are joining into a relationship or even marriages now. How did you feel coming back into the house and trying to assume responsibility for things in the house? And I was like on a tight grip.
Well, so I just had a different perspective anyway. My mindset was set to make sure that the kids knows what 50% look like. Mm-hmm. Like, I felt like after the number of things that you were responsible for, I was like, they're going to see the behaviors. And I need them to know, like, when their father changed.
So, but if there's a man who is coming into a woman's life with kids and he's like, we're about to do this, and she's sitting here like, I've been doing this, the independent woman thing that has such a chokehold on us sometimes. I have a new perspective on it, but as a man walking into it, how did you feel?
That's what I'm saying. So, in my head, it didn't matter what it looked like. Like, to me, I felt like you had done so much before I got to that point. I was willing to do whatever so that you could see that I was for real. So if I could show you that I was willing to take all the burdens that you did have, not burdens, but the day-to-day
tasks and responsibilities.
If you could see that no matter what you put on me, that I was willing to do it, I wasn't going to complain. And he was like, okay, that at some point we could cohabitate and be effective with all of it versus me just saying, look, I'm going to do this and then just lie to you and go back to old behaviors.
So a new guy, he'd have to come in with patience.
Complete patience. And he has to believe that that she's right, because that's all she knows.
In this house, she's right until we can.
Yeah.
So taking a little bit at a time.
Yeah. So I think I didn't have a problem with any of the responsibilities because, like I said, I really reflected on how much you had been doing in all of the other years of our household, and I was just motivated to showing you that this, okay, I think I understand what it takes to be a man to protect his wife mentally in the household before she even goes outside. That's the reason why I said, like, I enjoy trying to do breakfast, because I feel like if I could give you a good jump start in the day, that your day was going to start off great. It doesn't have to be like grumpy and so I was just in the mindset of like, what can I do to make my household better? So a single man, it doesn't even matter. Anybody in a relationship, you should approach it as if the other person is right. And the things that you disagree with, find out why you're disagreeing. And most of the time it's going to be from your childhood, how you were taught throughout your journey of life. And now you're coming to the point where you're discussing things in a way where, do we need this or not?
Yeah. And
if you don't know how to talk, it sounds like one person's going to say, we need all of this, and whatever you need, we don't need. You know what I'm saying? So like, this is the right way, but the right way is when both parties agree that this is the right way.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely knew that it was, like I said, I don't think it was difficult. I thought it was necessary. I just thought about how many things we swept under the rug through our marriage. And now it's like, I don't want anything under the rug, because if I pull this rug up, you need to know I've already cleaned under it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't need you. Like if you don't have to worry about me, then that means it's less stress for you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I know John is going to take care of this, this, and this. He's not going to do any of that. He's going to make sure this is done. It's less stress on you because of what you've been doing for the household. So I'm like, how can I secure the trust again to say, okay, this is the person that you thought you married?
Yeah.
And I think that just came through maturing over time. And I really believe it's the diet.
Gosh.
Because I mean, that's when everything started to happen. I could say it's when I turned 40 and then I started to grow up, but if I didn't change my diet, I don't know if I would have matured the way that I did.
Okay.
So transitioning into where we are now,
Right.
telling people, how do you make a better relationship?
I don't know. I don't know how to exactly give that answer because, I feel like based on the practices you've already had, you got to approach people differently. I don't know. Because what I needed in order to be able to be fulfilled in a relationship and fulfill someone else would be different for someone else. I had struggles that other people wouldn't have. So I don't know how to say that without it being really individualized.
Well, so when I look at it, I looked at all the relationships I've had in life, from friends to girlfriends to marriage to being a son, being a parent. I think being clear of what you want and why, being able to do it where the other person, when I was trying to figure myself out, when I was this outgoing guy and all over the place, in my head, I was like, this is what you're going to get. That's who I am. If I talk to you like that, it's because that's who I am. But if you think that you can get better, as far as, okay, can you say this in a way that won't offend the person that you claim that you love and you want to be with for the rest of your life? Because you wouldn't talk to your manager like that. You wouldn't talk to a stranger in the street like that. So why don't you protect the person that you do care about the way that you protect these other people when you leave the house and how you talk? So sound like you're talking to them so that I don't feel offended. You know what I'm saying?
That's that Nikki Giovanni, James Baldwin conversation. Hey, I will always go back to that because it's true. Like, take as much care and thought in how you speak to me as you do the people out in the world.
Yeah, I think
you're not afraid to have a knockdown, drag out fight with me.
Because I know you love me and I know that you're supposed to get
backwards?
it. It is. That's what I'm saying. So this is the parts of making a relationship better.
Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah. So like, to me, I didn't even realize that's where it came from, Nikki Giovanni, when she was talking to James Baldwin.
It might not have.
But I understood it was
conversation to me. Yeah.
It was similar to like, I'm here for you, and then I gotta like take all your BS that you had to deal with outside.
Yeah.
Like, I'm tired too. Like, and I don't want you to feel like, now, even with my new job, I'm like, I just see the way my personality is rubbed off on people, and people thank me because I'm optimistic and I'm happy all the time. And I'm like, I'm really like this when I'm at home too. So I'm just bringing what I feel like in the house to my workplace.
Yeah, it would be horrible to be nice outside and a grump when you get home. I know I've been like that before.
Yeah.
Where I had to put on a certain face while I was out in the world, and then I come home and I was just like letting loose. So it's
what's so crazy? You're letting loose. I don't really know what that looks like. Like, for real, because I know that, I'm gonna tell you, I remember so vividly, like, Kanika used to tell her day, and then she was like, so how was your day? I'm like, same old, same old. Now,
oh yeah,
I realized me saying same old was because I didn't know how to articulate my day for you to be able to think like, oh, that's interesting, or it was just like, dang, it's the same old same. Now I'm to the point where I want to discuss what's in my day because I feel like it's made me better, or I learned something from it, or it made me smile. And I feel like I can give you this information, like, this is how I felt today. And you'd be like, oh, okay, I can see how your day went.
Yeah, I remember one time you came home and I was like, how was your day? You said, same old, same old. I said, well, did any of the students say something funny that made you laugh, or did anything happen? I'm like, no. And I'm like, now, I was teaching. I knew these kids were crazy every day. It was always something.
Yeah, I just realized it was me.
But now, yeah, when you come home, it's like, I met somebody who wrote a book and we were talking about this. And I'm like, okay, look, when he gets in, when the day is over, he has a whole rundown of his day. And you're like, okay, he took in every experience today and he gonna recap it.
Well, what's crazy is that I don't, because I can't remember them all. Like, I have some really good conversations these days. And I haven't been doing what I've been trying to focus on because I'm caught up in having good conversations with people. When I say I have good conversations, they could be from any walk of life, like from homeless to very abundantly financially awesome. Like, they could be from two different spectrums, but you can hear how people talk and what they want, what they don't need. And I think a lot of times, like, we just take it for granted that people want the same thing you want. And when I'm listening to these people, I'm like, okay, like we can do more. But coming home to tell you these things, to me, it feels like I'm showing you my different emotions I go through the day, like listening to something that kind of gives me motivation to continue doing what I'm doing.
Well, shoot, that's all I wanted. And, just a little bit of.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know that though.
Yeah.
I was talking to my uncle. Okay, so I had an uncle that died recently, Carl Lewis, and my youngest uncle on my father's side came in town with his wife, and I'm in the limo and we're talking, and she's retired, and he was like, I'm thinking about retiring in a couple years. And she immediately said, I'm thinking about going back to work when he retired. And I was like, you guys sound like my father, because he said that he has to go to work to get peace. And I'm like, y'all need to work on it, because they really meant it, even though they were laughing.
Right.
Like
no, for real.
For real. And I was just like, look, if you guys can figure it out, you'll have so much fun at home. Like you'll be like, why did we work for so long and not enjoy each other's company? But they got to go through that tough part too, and they've been married way long. They've been married since he was 19, I believe.
Wow.
19, very young, and they haven't even decided to go toward the thing that we decided to do. And I don't think you intentionally wanted to do that, but I was. I wanted to make sure.
Dragged.
Yeah. So, but I told them, I was like, look, y'all can work on, like, you're going to argue, because you're going to realize if you don't talk to your person enough, there are going to be parts that you don't know about, and you can do something to hurt their feelings, and it wasn't your intentions, but if you don't talk, you will never know. And I think a lot of the times before you and I got to this point, I didn't consider what was going to hurt your feelings, because I was like, she's married to me. She knows what I'm capable of. And
I would just take it and be like, you know what, that's him, and I'm gonna ignore it and move on.
And that I'll say this: I'm blessed to have you, because I don't know too many women that were willing to wait that long for me to grow up. And when I say that, I'm saying it from the bottom of my heart. Like, if you did not have the patience, I would have been out here lost like these single guys that think they haven't mastered being single yet.
Okay. Well.
For real.
Well, okay. I'm with that. Well, I appreciate your thanking me.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yes. And that's why I enjoy taking things away from you if I can. Like, that my nightmare was not being able to figure this out. Like, if I didn't figure this out, like, I feel like my
figure what out exactly?
Marriage. Okay. Building a relationship stronger where I can enjoy being married. Like, when I think about marriage, I think about us. Like, we've come a long way, but we wanted to be here, and we want to continue to get better. So I'm like, if I didn't get this part, I don't know what people would come talk to me for other than a good time.
Yeah, and that's usually what it was.
That's what I'm
Antics.
saying. Yeah. So, I knew different things, but as far as my life is revolved around my family, being a parent, being a husband. And to me, I feel like I have valuable information that could help somebody, to improve their household. Because, like, even last night, we sat, like, Dallas always wants us to be together and do something family oriented. And I don't have those ideas, so I told him to say it, but he doesn't want to do it unless Day's involved. So I was telling Kanika that I want to be able to make Day feel like she can't miss this opportunity with her family. And I'm like, why? You know, just like she's a teenager and all. I don't care about any of that because she's going to grow up and leave at some point, and then she's going to look back and be like, oh, I should have spent more time with my family. So I'm like, Day, I am so excited when you are here with us because it makes me feel like I'm a good father. And then she smiled, and like we were playing a game, a card game, and we enjoyed the game, all of us. But I want them to want to be a part of the family. I don't want to say, hey, this is what we're going. It's like forcing people to go to church when you don't want to go to church. It's like how can I make my kids say, hey, why aren't we doing anything together?
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So
Dallas would definitely say that.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the way that you grow as a family. Like you make everybody seem like they're an important part of this process and they can have fun. Because when I went to Saginaw right before, I think it was a couple days before the funeral, I was talking to my uncle and my aunt, and I was just trying to, I guess, get them to understand what I want from my family, because I'm like, my kids never say, why haven't we been to Saginaw? Or why haven't we, like, it's been a long time. I was like, because Saginaw doesn't look fun to them. Because when I'm there, I'm talking to adults and there's nobody their age, with an exception of Hassan, our godson, but he's younger still.
Yeah, he's still like 5 years younger.
Yeah, so I'm thinking like, I understand why my kids don't say, why don't we go to Saginaw? Because that's an adult thing. I'm going back to talk to adults and it's not fun for kids. And, you know, my aunt said, don't worry, they'll figure it out. No, they won't, because I never figured it out. So how are they supposed to figure out something that I didn't want to do?
You know, that's the same thing as me growing up. My dad's side of the family, I never was like, can we go over to,
because
it's old people.
That environment wasn't anything for kids to be like, I want to go over there.
No, you sit in the living room while the adults are talking, or they send you in a room and you watch TV while the adults are talking, and the whole thing is adults are talking.
Yeah.
So, no, I get it.
Yeah, so I was just trying to figure out how can we entice Day?
Well, I'm hoping to entice her this weekend. It's going to be 80 degrees, y'all. It's going to be 80 degrees on Saturday. Now, today is cold. Yesterday it was cold. I feel like on Coming to America, he was like, see, right now I'm washing lettuce. But soon I'll be on the grill. So it's like right now we cold. But on Saturday, it's going to be 80 degrees. And so the plan is I want to go to Detroit, and I want to do Black Detroit. And I think we've talked about this before, but I like to frequent all the places or the Black businesses that I can that we could do fun things. Maybe like a museum, a restaurant, whatever the case may be. And so Eastern Market is not necessarily Black Detroit, what I'm thinking about, but it's outside. I did buy some preserves and stuff from the Detroit, I can't remember their name, but I'm gonna have to go look it up. But it was some young women, and they work with kids to cook and learn, the culinary trade. And they had preserves and stuff, and I thought that was really good. They got beautiful flowers. They sell T-shirts and stuff. But the idea is that you walk around and it's all these different things. You know what I'm saying? Then they got pierogies, because the Polish population, I think that's Polish. Population, I might be wrong, in Detroit, but there are a lot of things that are just Detroit.
Yeah.
And in Lansing, you don't just go out and just, peruse in certain neighborhoods. It's not really like that anymore here. It's not very lively unless there's something going on. And so I'm excited about having them walk around, go to the smoothie store, go to Detroit versus Everybody, which is right in Eastern Market. Go ahead, look at the murals on the walls, the graffiti murals. They're beautiful over there. And, after that, go somewhere else. Like, I want them to be out.
Yeah.
Outside of four walls, away from internet, and let's just have a good time. And I'm not one of those people who's like, y'all need to get off the internet. But our kids, literally, that is their primary source of entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
And so Saturday, I am so excited to get out of the house. And it doesn't matter what we come up on, y'all. we gonna have us some fun outside.
For sure.
The outside is calling us. That's what I've decided.
I'm excited about that. Oh, we're winding down, but I wanted to mention how we believe, okay, so you know what? I'm gonna just save that one because I think that'll take up the whole. I'm sure we're not the only parents that have to go through this, but I'll do that for the next one.
Okay.
But is anybody you want to give a shout out to before we get out of here?
Oh, yeah, hold on one second.
For sure. While she's getting that together, y'all gonna have to listen to this voice while I just run it. But I'm really enjoying being a father and a husband, like more than any other title that I've ever had. And when I say that, I mean it. Like, I want to be so cold at it that my friends be like, how did you get to that point? And when you get that cold at being a father and a husband, your family's happy. They're going to grow older and be like, man, my father did this. And I'm trying to rub that energy into the household so that we can lead by example. And when I say that, it's only to make families better. Yeah, I believe she's back.
Okay, I'm back. So I want to give a shout out to the Detroit Food Academy. I found them at Eastern Market, and I got their peach bourbon jam, and I also got a raspberry lemon verbena. I don't know what this is, but it's super, super good. And they have very, very, it's very natural, actually. I don't see anything that I can't pronounce on this mug. It's only like 3 or 4 ingredients. So young, beautiful Black women sitting there selling all of these beautifully packaged preserve, and they had like cereal bars and croissants and all kinds of stuff. But the Detroit Food Academy, that's who I want to give a shout out to.
Awesome. Do we need to get that on the site?
Yes.
For sure. We'll get you guys on the site, especially before this weekend, so we can show you that you guys are on our site. Shout out to everybody who is trying to figure it out, to get better, not to cheat the system, because when you cheat, you miss the lessons. Make today better than yesterday. Don't worry about anything you can't control. GATA, get after that action, or that action will get after you.
Boom.